Hello, everyone. I am really excited here to have a friend of mine. Um, I believe you're from Germany. Am I correct, Donna?
Yes, very much.
Okay. And I met her not, some time ago, and I really love her perspective on life and what she does for women. So we're not going to get into companies and what we do with our companies. We're more going to get into her thoughts on womanhood and inequalities and any other place that Ulrike would like to go over these next 19 minutes. Ulrike, I'm going to try and do the name. I'm really going to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Ulrika?
Yes, very good. It sounds sweet when you say it, actually. And the thing about Dana, it's well, you could say it's my Indian name. So I lived in India for 7 years, and Ulrike is like a very difficult to pronounce name. So yeah, I got an Indian name, and Dana is actually equivalent to giving. It can only also mean wealth. So I did really like it, to have this inner wealth that I can actually give to the world. So I adopted the name, and sometimes for dear friends, I still use the name Dana instead of Ulrike, which is more of my business name.
I really feel humbled that you would share that with me. So I might go between the two if one gets harder. Ulrika, I have to ask you this question before we go into the other things about femininity as a woman. Being in India, okay, the women wear the beautiful saris, and they are always ladies. But Indian women are also very strong women, and they go through, a lot of people don't know, it's been said, studies have shown that the most stressed woman lives in India.
Yeah. And I can imagine why, because you have so many tasks at hand. I mean, it starts with your tasks as a mother. There is so much expected from you. In the kitchen, they go into all these details. Plus, they're also considered to be, let's say, the holders of spirituality, also for the house. So they need to keep it clean, and not only clean from the outside, but also clean from the inside. So you have all these traditions of, putting different symbols and colors outside of the house in front of the door to make sure that good spirits only can enter. So that's actually a lot of work. I've seen all the women actually that I know, traditional or non-traditional, a lot of them actually getting up in the morning at 5, to get ready with all of these rituals, you could say, then get the food ready, which, I mean, it's delicious, but it takes also ages to prepare it, send the kids to school. And then a lot of them now have started to be also very much up in the ladder in the workspace, and they're ambitious. And yeah, there is a lot of stress. I could feel that totally.
Say a little more about that, Ulrika. I know there's some things that you wanted to share. Let's go into the first thing that you want to share. What's important to you, Ulrika, about what you see with the state of the world?
Well, I can actually connect that also to these women in India that I've seen, but the same is true also for any other country, also here in Germany. I mean, what I'm feeling is that we as women, actually, we play on a not really fair playing field, in the sense that my interpretation of things is that the whole world, the economic system, the whole system we are playing in business is basically built on male qualities, meaning to say that the things that are being valued and that they're being incentivized in our everyday life, and especially when it comes to work and to business, is things that I would call more, let's say, male characteristics and qualities. It's all about competition. It is about winning. It is about being better than the other. You have to be fast. You have to be multi-dimensional, focused only on one big goal. And it's about fighting, about conquering, linear thinking, intellectual knowledge, growing fast, scaling globally, right? I mean, there is an awe for technology, and there is a focus on the outside world, and it's all about always being strong and having your everything together. And this is basically what we honor, what we love. This is the heroes. This is the leaders of societies in government and in business. They embody this kind of qualities, Now, these qualities, I believe, they also have their merit. We also need them, to build the world that we live in. But at the same time, it has so many downsides because it's not balanced. And what I see is that, let's say, the feminine side of things, which is more of the need and the wish to actually collaborate and to think holistically, to co-create with others, to be nurturing, to make sure that something doesn't just only grow up, fast and furious, but it really also has some depth and has some stability. Our innate quality of being able to access that inner wisdom, to have empathy, deep empathy with others, good communication skills. I mean, this is all for me something that we women, we have it inside us, and we can very much embody it. But the only thing is that playing actually in a world where the rules of the game are actually made, I would say, to a large extent by men, and to a large extent, these male qualities are incentivized and are encouraged and are trained and are those that we should display when we are on stage. It's basically, it's just a very unfair playing field, right? So because you have to deny your qualities and who you are, and you have to adopt and learn like a new role. You have to learn to be a guy, basically. So that's my impression, actually, that I have. And I see also when you look into the world, simply we are totally out of balance, like in all those levels. And one of the imbalances that we have is that these male and these female qualities, they are not cherished equally. And they're not incentivized and not paid also equally. So,
what's very, very interesting about this whole thing that you're saying? Look, I was one of those business women, no nonsense, getting it done, male energy. I can say I was that way even going into the work I do at the UN. There's a woman that I want the world to know that I love. But what I realized, even though I love other women, I love myself too about the way that I show up. You know what I mean? But there are things that I do that don't always speak to the love of oneself for myself, like working too much and not taking care. I'm very guilty for that. I still do it. But Amina Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General, she embodies what it is to be a woman. She embodies what it is to be a talented, intellectual, caring, compassionate woman, also knowing her boundaries, loving herself. When she walks in a room quietly, speaks softly, she illuminates the world. She doesn't need to be the man. She doesn't need to be the woman that someone else is. She's just herself. And for me, I always say that you can adopt someone's habits. Okay? You don't have to be the habits. And Amina Mohammed is very feminine, very gracious.
Yeah, I love that. It's great to be around actually women who are so connected with their inner spirit and with their inner energy, because I do feel that this is totally our gift. I mean, we can be such magnets, actually, because I mean, I'm experimenting myself with that the last few months, because there is this part of me who is, trained by management consulting, had a startup in India, ran a business in India, is running a business here in Germany, right? So there's this part of, wanting to always do a lot, being a lot in doing mode and in thinking mode. But I'm experimenting right now and saying, okay, fine, let me get back into more of this feminine, more of this visionary, receiving mode, meditative mode, and really breathe. Just breathe and just be, and focus in your mind, like what you wish to create, and be like gentle with yourself and be very connected with yourself. And it is indeed like magic, I have to say, in the last few months that I really feel how this works. I mean, the more I'm connected with myself, the less I have to do, because things just unfold. I mean, it does sound now like a little, praying to the universe and then everything will fall into place. But I do experience that it works. and that I have much more energy and much more power when I show up like this in the world, much more relaxed manner, and that is more about me being instead of me thinking and doing and hassling.
That's a very powerful place you went, the thinking and the doing and the being. From what we think is from what we gain, okay? And it's also how we look at the world, okay?
Yeah, totally. I think we need to combine all of this,
Yes.
because it's not, obviously we don't want to now get into, again, fighting and saying now only the female qualities and being is, what the world needs. We basically need both, and we need it in balance, and we need it within us as, let's say the feminine gender, and we also need it in the male gender. And at the same time, we need to see how we implement actually also the appreciation for this kind of being and for this kind of qualities into our society, into our economic system, which so far is like it's like a male system, totally. So, and now I believe it's up to us now to really not only explore this for ourselves, but really start to dare to also talk about it, and to stand up for this more female qualities, being a real woman also when we are on stage and when we are speaking, showing our vulnerability, showing that we have empathy, taking time for holistically looking at things, and bringing that into the workplace, and also coming up with specific proposals on how we can actually change our economic system. How can we redefine what we believe success is?
Ulrike, when I hear this, okay, I want to get really, I want you to get, you've always been, since I've known you, for the length that we have known each other, you've always been really straightforward in a kind of way. You know people from all cultures, whether they're Black, whether they're Italian, Indian, all of these. So living in India, I know you've seen the disparity. There's no middle class like we have in, Europe and here in America. There's more like you're either poor or what they would say rich in India, okay? My question to you is, there are women in America and in Europe right now who are single parents, who are, struggling to make it. They didn't come from a home that understood how money worked, okay? And I believe that money and love fall together. Not so much that you have to love a husband to have someone or love another if you are in the LGBTQIA community, and I hate to even have to differentiate those communities. But whoever you love, it's not about what your partner has, but also what you have, okay? But that is connected to again, I reference my mother now that she's gone a lot, because when your mother's alive, you don't pay them any mind. You're like, yeah, Mom, I know, but that was in your time, But now as you get older, you kind of understand where they were coming from, that the energy of money is a direct connection to how you honor and love yourself, okay? And that you're open to the reception of it. But in India, where women are in situations where they're focusing on how they're going to make their next dollar, okay? You're even working with some entrepreneurs who are dealing with that, okay? How does a woman who's come from a home where she's seen struggle, can even be a middle class home, but they have seen struggle, okay? They saw their parents struggle. So the environment which you grow up in is a lot of times is the framework upon which you become. Okay? What would you say to this, since you work with women entrepreneurs, on how to generate that income if all they know is from what they saw, always struggling? And when you struggle, you bring in a male energy.
Yeah, true. How will you get into the relaxation mode and in the receiving and visionary mode, having empathy with everyone around you if you're into that struggle and that panic mode? Yeah, totally. It's very difficult. And what would I say? I believe this is really where it comes in for us women to be partners to each other, and to really be mentors to each other, because we all are born with different capabilities and in different circumstances. So I would hope that we can reach out actually to other women who are in that struggling phase, and we are all in that struggling phase. I mean, sooner or later in life, it all gets us in different variations. So I do think like really reaching out for women who are in that particular period of time, are not in that struggling phase, and who can really be an inspiration to you and can be a help to you. It can be practical help or it can be emotional help. I think this would be what I would actually recommend or advise, that whenever we as women are in this position, I mean, we should be able to count on other women to really give us this holding hand, be it investing in us, being advising us, being connecting us to others who can help us further, or maybe just lend our ear to just listen to what is actually going on in the other person's life. So I think this is like a great help that we can give to all other women around us. It'd be great if we can realize in kind, instead of looking at things like only from the outside, like what have I to do with that woman that I don't know, from a totally different strata of society, a different cultural background, maybe just totally different thoughts than me politically, etc. I mean, why am I not just there for that other woman if she's daring enough, courageous enough just to reach out and say, hey, I just need some help.
I'm sorry, I was talking to a mute. I'm sorry.
No worries. Silence is actually golden, sometimes it's good to just sit with it for a while.
Yes, and you want to know something? After all that we've all been through with this COVID, I think COVID is a beautiful thing because it's taught us a lesson of being with ourselves. So I want your last thoughts on everything you'd like to share about women in general, how you see the world and everything as solutions. Please, Ulrike.
And solutions. Well, on solutions, I can only offer, let's cooperate, let's work together as women. Let's really, get this inner values and characteristics that we have on the table, and really find new ways of cooperating. I think this is really a gift that we have, and like also an inner need to really cooperate instead of just being in competition mode all the time. I think it will do us a lot of good if we can get into this mode of really sharing with each other and co-creating. And that's something that the world in general needs, because right now, I mean, why nothing moves forward is simply because we don't really have found new ways of really collaborating with each other in a way that we can scale things without destroying the environment. Besides that, maybe I would say really get also into meditative mode. So far, I don't really see that we are Homo sapiens, like really wise beings, as the word says, because we are so much looking only into the external world and not at all into our inner being and our inner knowing. So if we can also encourage each other actually to take more time in silence, take more time to reconnect ourselves, meet actually in these women's circles and give time for silence, give time for what is happening inside, and then sharing this, and then based on this sharing, I think we will develop some kind of a trust that really will help us to work with each other in a totally different manner than so far we have seen working with each other in a rather, let's say, male-dominated society. In terms of rethinking our economic system, I mean, I would love to invite women, to be in touch and explore, the circular economy, explore regenerative economies, explore how we can implement something like, for example, the Code for Corporate Citizenship, where you would really change the corporate law of the various countries and change the fiduciary duties of CEOs in such a manner that they can still have this duty towards their shareholders, to maximize financial gains, but not at the expense of society and environment. And I totally see us women actually to stand up for this kind of laws together to get them really implemented, because at the end of the day, it's laws, it's policies, etc., that are the cornerstones of how our economy is actually working. And so in terms of solutions, I mean, this kind of examples for me is one solution that we can join hands and we can work together. But again, as said, not in this kind of like male way, yeah, let's go out and fight for it, right? But I think we need to figure out on how we can become a magnet for this kind of ideas, how we can actually show with empathy and with patience and with holistic thinking that this is actually a possibility that will benefit everyone, including all of the businesses that we have nowadays. So that would be my final thoughts, I would say.
Ulrike, thank you for being on with us today. Thank you for sharing your spirit and your heart. It was really warm and totally appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for the opportunity to chat with you. Yeah, I wish you a very, very good ongoing journey and chats with other ladies. I look forward to then listening to the recording and, well, wishing you all the best from Berlin.
Yes, and I will be in touch with you for the other things that we were talking about.
Okay, excellent.
Would you just stay in the background for just a moment?
Sure, absolutely.